Welcome to the Sonoran Desert National Monument Recreational Target Shooting Resource Management Plan Amendment virtual public scoping meeting for October 12, 2022. The meeting will begin shortly. Thank you for your patience as we wait for others to join. We invite you to please join using your computer audio. And if you're having any issues accessing your audio, please use the question and answer portal at the bottom of your screen to share issues with our technical team. We do have a live transcript available for you tonight. To access the live transcript of the meeting, at the bottom of your screen, click Live Transcript, then select Show Subtitle. And just please note that this is not an official verbatim transcript of the meeting, may contain errors. We'll give just a few more minutes for others to join. So once again, welcome to the Sonoran Desert National Monument Recreational Target Shooting Resource Management Plan Amendment virtual public scoping meeting for October 12, 2022. My name is Sarah Lupus. I'm with SWCA Environmental Consultants, the firm supporting the Bureau of Land Management with public outreach, and I'll be the facilitator for today's meeting. Please note that this meeting is being recorded, and if you're having any technical issues, please use the chat at the bottom of your screen to request technical assistance. To access the live transcript of the meeting at the bottom of your screen, click on Live Transcript, then select Show Subtitle. And please note that this transcript is not an official verbatim transcript of the meeting and may have errors. Next slide, please. I'd like to start by giving you an overview of our agenda for this evening. We'll start by reviewing how to use this Zoom webinar platform, and then we'll introduce the panel. Then the BLM will share a short presentation to give you some background on the project, the NEPA process, and the public comment period. And then we'll have time for your questions. Next slide, please. So first, some meeting logistics and participation guidelines. Please note that your microphone and video will remain off for the duration of this webinar. Questions can be typed in using the Q&A function. You can submit your questions throughout the presentation, but questions will not be answered live until the Q&A session that follows the presentation. And again, if you're having any technical issues with your Zoom features, please use the Q&A feature to contact our technical team. This meeting is being recorded and it will be posted to the ePlanning project website and BLM YouTube site. We'll share those links with you later. Next slide, please. I'd now like to turn it over to Leon Thomas, District Manager for the Phoenix District Office, to introduce the BLM team.
Thank you, Sarah. As Sarah mentioned, I'm Leon Thomas. I'm the District Manager for the Phoenix District Bureau of Land Management. Our field manager for the Lower Sonoran Field Office, the office in which this project lies in, is he's out for this particular webinar, but he will be available throughout the process. We also have Chelsea McKinney, who is our BLM project manager. We have Katie Whitebull, who is our Sonoran Desert National Monument manager. We have Elena Fink on, who is our resource advisor from the BLM State Office. We have Dale Onmice, who's our planning and environmental coordinator on the Phoenix District. We have Chris Wonderly, who is the public affairs specialist for the Phoenix District Office. Chris Bowman, who is a range specialist for the Lower Sonoran Field Office. Kendra Luber, who is the natural resource specialist for the Lower Sonoran Field Office. And we have Cindy Barrett, who is the outdoor recreation planner for the Lower Sonoran Field Office. The BLM Arizona consists of about 12.1 million acres that we manage on the surface. The Phoenix District is about 3.1 million acres, and it ranges from the Utah border down to the international border with Mexico. The surface acres that you see there in yellow are the 3.1 million acres that we manage that are close into this area. Our office is broken down into two field offices. It is the Hacienda Field Office and the Lower Sonoran Field Office in which this project lies. And I really just wanted to take a moment to let you all know that, as a district, we support recreational target shooting. 97% of our district is open for dispersed recreational target shooting. And we've also opened up, or in the process of opening up today, 3 recreational target shooting sites in the northern part of our district. And on November 2nd, we'll open up a recreational target shooting site in the southern part of our district. I want to bring this to you all's attention because, as we analyzed for the 3 sites that we opened up today, we took a look at whether, the areas that we decided to have these sites built in were conducive to, recreational target shooting, tying in and aligning with what we wanted to see as far as natural resource objectives. Additionally, we took a look at, whether the sites were in an area that were safe. And if we felt like there were some safety concerns, we made sure that we built in the infrastructure to ensure that, we had a safe space for this activity to take place. Additionally, we really like to do a whole lot of public outreach as far as, public service announcements and things so that we can ensure that we have the shooter's ethic that we want to see on the landscape. So all in all, we really want to support this activity. We are taking strides, not only in the areas that I just described to ensure that, this activity can take place. We're also looking across the district to see, where it's conducive and where it's not conducive. This project, in a sense, can be seen as an extension of that. So down in the Sonoran Desert National Monument, we want to make sure that we do the same type of analysis to ensure that it is conducive and safe for this activity. Thank you.
Thank you, Leon. I'll now turn it over to Chelsea.
All right, good evening. So once again, my name is Chelsea McKinney, and I am sorry about that. And I'm a project manager for the Bureau of Land Management. I'm helping the Lower Sonoran Field Office and Sonoran Desert National Monument and I will be providing some background, reviewing maps, and reviewing how to submit comments with you all this evening. The Bureau of Land Management completed a Resource Management Plan, or RMP, for the Sonoran Desert National Monument in 2012. Under a March 2015 court order, the BLM was required to reanalyze the impacts of recreational target shooting in the monument. In 2018, the BLM amended the RMP to allow dispersed recreational shooting in about 90% of the monument. The decision was challenged in 2019 and through negotiations reached a settlement agreement. Next slide. In the settlement, the BLM agreed to a new planning effort to provide long-term management direction for recreational target shooting within the monument. The BLM is hoping the public will provide input as it begins this RMP amendment process for whether recreation target shooting will be allowed in the monument, as well as where it will be allowed in the monument. Before we show maps and explain where this project is located, the BLM would also like to take a moment to talk about current shooting rules on public lands. Recreational target shooting is generally allowed on BLM administered public lands as long as it is done in a safe manner without damaging natural resources or improvements on public lands. Across all BLM administered lands, discharging or using firearms, weapons, or fireworks is not allowed on developed recreation sites and areas except at sites specifically designated for that purpose. Please follow this guidance during your recreational shooting experience. Never shoot from or over any road or highway. Always use a safe backdrop. Glass and exploding targets are prohibited in some states. Do not use plastic pellets, tracer rounds, exploding rounds, or steel core rounds. Do not attach targets to plants or place targets against rocks, plants, or solid objects. It is illegal to deface or destroy trees, signs, outbuildings, or other objects on federal lands. Carry in your targets and carry out all litter, grass, and shell casings. Cross-country travel is not permitted outside of OHV open area boundaries, so please stay on designated routes. The scoping and analysis that comes from this process is not intended to remove hunting from public lands. Next slide, please. The map currently being shown in light brown is the Sonoran Desert National Monument. This is the area we are considering for this proposed plan amendment. The Sonoran Desert National Monument is located about 60 miles southwest of Phoenix and is around 500,000 acres. The monument contains excellent examples of untrammeled Sonoran desert landscape. The monument sits in the most biologically diverse of the North American deserts and captures a significant portion of that diversity. The most striking aspect of the plant community in the monument is the extensive saguaro cactus forest. The monument contains 3 distinct mountain ranges, the Maricopa, Sandtank, and Tabletop Mountains, as well as the Booth and White Hills, all separated by wide valleys. The monument also contains 3 congressionally designated wilderness areas, archaeological and historic sites, and remnants of several important historic trails. Next slide, please. The map being displayed is of the 2018 RMP amendment and current management of recreational shooting within the monument. The green is showing what areas are available for the public to utilize for recreational target shooting, while the brown color surrounding the Juan Bautista de Anza National Historic Trail and Travel Management Corridor, which is the light purple color, is showing what is unavailable to the public for recreational target shooting. The 2018 RMP decision did not have a the 2018 RMP decision did have a modification in its preferred alternative, and that was to include an additional section and classify it as available to recreational target shooting. This addition has the blue outline surrounding it at the top of the middle of the map. Next slide, please. As I identified on the previous slide, the 2018 RMP amendment and final EIS focused on recreational management and resources of the monument. The record of decision allows for 90% of the monument to be open for recreational target shooting for the public to use. The remaining 50,700 acres of the monument are in the Anza Recreation Management Zone, which was the brown area identified on the previous slide. Next slide, please. The settlement agreement alternative is an alternative the BLM has agreed to analyze in detail for the RMP amendment process. The BLM has agreed to look at a few elements when considering if and where recreational target shooting should be allowed in the monument. One of the elements per the settlement agreement is analyzing certain areas as unavailable. These areas include designated wilderness and lands with wilderness characteristics, the area south of Highway 238 from the western edge of the monument boundary to the western edge of the South Maricopa Mountains Wilderness boundary, Vico Valley, and Area A. Next slide. The second item the BLM agreed to review for the settlement alternative is all areas not designated closed and unavailable to dispersed recreational target shooting would be available for dispersed recreational target shooting unless BLM suitability analysis determines that monument objects are located in the area and target shooting is determined to be inconsistent with those objects. Proper care and management, is inconsistent with those objects' proper care and management. Objects are specific resources described in the original monument designation. And the second item is target shooting. The second analysis is for target shooting in the area. Does it possess a threat to public safety and recreational use in the area of the monument? Next slide, please. Other items the BLM must look at in the settlement alternative are the protection of the Kamatki Trail and to create a detailed mitigation and monitoring protocol designed to protect the monument's resources, which will apply to those areas of the monument where target shooting is allowed. For a full description of the settlement agreement, visit the e-planning website. Next slide, please. As stated, this alternative comes out of the 2018 RMP amendment being challenged. This map is a visual representation of the potential alternative from the settlement agreement described on the previous slides. The brown areas are demonstrating the potential areas within the monument that would not be available for recreational target shooting and makes up around 78% of the monument. The areas that could be unavailable include the 3 wilderness areas identified by the yellow diagonal lines, and Area A, which is the brown steps on the southwest portion of the map. The Juan Bautista de Anza National Historic Trail and the Travel Management Corridor in light purple would continue to be unavailable for recreational target shooting. The green areas throughout the map cover around 20% of the monument and would be available for recreational target shooting. The remaining 2% of lands within the monument and project area are identified as private land. Next slide, please. Now that you are aware of an alternative the BLM will be analyzing, we'd like to review with you the timeline, explain where we currently are, and move into how you can help us move the project forward. National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA, is a process that all government agencies use when analyzing public land decisions and require that we work with the public to make a range of suitable alternatives to analyze in that process. The left column titled Process Milestones provides you the key steps the BLM will be working towards as we aim to have a final decision record in the fall of 2023. The right column is demonstrating key public input phases that we hope you will contribute to. As you can see with the arrow that says we are here, we are currently at public scoping. The public scoping process officially started with the publication of the Notice of Intent, or NOI, in the Federal Register on August 24th, 2022. The objective of the scoping process is to involve the public in identifying issues and formulating alternatives that must be considered by the BLM. The public scoping period will end October 28th, 2022. Next slide, please. We really appreciate hearing your thoughts. Your participation is an important part of the decision-making process. The BLM is seeking issues and concerns related to target shooting in the Sonoran Desert National Monument. We need your help to identify issues to address in our analysis. The most effective comments are those that provide detailed information to the agencies. Here are some suggestions to make your comments useful in the NEPA process. Comments should focus on the proposed project and what is being analyzed, such as identifying potentially affected resources and resource concerns that should be analyzed, and data sources or other projects or that the agencies may not be aware of. The more clear and concise and relevant to the project your comments are, the more effective and useful they will be. We'll describe in the next slide some tips for providing comments and information. When providing input during the scoping period, please remember to provide constructive solutions with documentation or resources to support your recommendations. Include any knowledge, experience, or evidence as it relates to your observations and comments. Provide GPS readings if possible, especially when referring to specific locations. Avoid vague statements or concerns. These don't give the BLM something on which to act on. Multiple comments or topics with the same concern are considered one comment. Comments are not votes for or against a decision. BLM must rely on supporting information, not the number of comments received. Avoid using form letters to convey your opinion. Your unique way of writing a comment helps the BLM understand your point of view. Opinions do not add to the analysis. Rather than stating, I don't like this or that sounds great, it's more useful if you discuss specific details you have concerns about. Comments via telephone calls will not be considered. We need comments in writing. And please make sure to submit your comments within the time frame announced. This slide is providing an example of a substantial comment and one example of an unsubstantial comment. The comment with the green dot on the left of the screen that says, I recommend that you allow shooting in 5 designated areas because they are currently being utilized by the public, and here are their locations, with GPS locations provided, provides input from the user's perspective as well as locations for the BLM to research further. The comment on the right with the red X that says, I agree/disagree with this plan is an opinion and does not help the BLM with this project. Next slide. The public scoping period closes October 28th, 2022. BLM will consider information received during scoping to help develop alternatives for the RMP environmental assessment. Comments, including names and addresses of respondents, will be available for public review. If you wish to withhold your name and/or address from public review or from disclosure under the Freedom of Information Act or FOIA, you must state that prominently at the beginning of your written comments. Such requests will be honored to the extent allowed by law. Comments or requests for additional information or to be added to the mailing list may be submitted via email at BLM_AZ_SDNM targetshooting@blm.gov or at the e-planning website. Website address is https://eplanning.ui/project/2019/811/Fria 8510. And last but not least, you can submit comments and questions via mail or in person at Sonoran Desert National Monument, Bureau of Land Management, attention RMP EA 2020 East Bell Road, Phoenix, Arizona 85022. Thank you all for your time, and I will turn the presentation back over to Sarah.
Thank you, Chelsea. Next slide, please. We will now begin our question and answer session. So as you're ready, you can ask your questions by clicking on the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. Type in your question and click send. Then it'll take our specialists a few moments to process and answer your question. And answers may come in writing or they may come live. Next slide, please. Please only submit your question once. It may take our specialists a few minutes to process your question and provide an answer. And once again, you can use the Q&A icon to submit your question. So while we're waiting to see if there are any questions, we just wanted to share one more time on the screen the ways to submit your scoping comments. As Chelsea said, email is the preferred method for comment submission. Comments can be submitted to BLM_AZ_SDN M target shooting at blm.gov. You can also visit the ePlanning website, which is shown on the screen, or you can mail or deliver your comments in writing to the Sonoran Desert Monument in Phoenix, Arizona at the address on the screen. Comments must be received by October 28th, 2022. And just a reminder, as Chelsea mentioned earlier, only written comments will be accepted. Our panelists will stay online until 7 p.m. to answer any questions you might have. Once again, to submit your questions, you can click on the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. And thank you for attending this evening. We do appreciate you being here. So in our last few minutes together this evening, I just wanted to remind you of the ways to submit your comments during this scoping period. As Chelsea mentioned earlier, email is the preferred method for submitting your comments, and comments can be submitted to the email address on your screen. You can also learn more about the project and submit comments through the ePlanning website. Website address is also shown on your screen. You can also mail or deliver your written comments to the Sonoran Desert National Monument in Phoenix, Arizona at the address listed on your screen. Please remember that comments must be received by October 28th, 2022. And at this time, I would like to invite our panel to turn their cameras back on. And on behalf of the BLM team, I just want to thank you all for joining us tonight. We hope you have a good rest of your evening, and we really appreciate your participation here and do appreciate any comments that you can submit via one of the methods listed on the screen. Thank you and have a nice evening. Goodbye.